Hello everyone! So here is my first Halloween card for my 2011 Halloween card series. So for today's card I chose to start off with 3 of these little images from Craft Smart, they're called. I picked them up at the Michaels, in one of the Michaels $1.50 bins a few weeks ago. And I wanted to stamp the 3 characters in a line on this white piece of cardstock, and the easiest way to do that is to use a stamp positioner. So I've stamped the image using the positioner onto the clear sheet, positioned it how I wanted on the cardstock, and then removed the sheet and then used the positioner to stamp the stamp. Just as easy as that. My only complaint about this stamp positioner is the acrylic positioner itself is very shallow, so when you're using stamps like this that are wood mounted and like a deep image, it's kind of hard to line it up a little bit, but it works. So yeah, I do that. I start with the middle as it's easier to line up all 3 images if you do the middle image first and then do the other 2 images. And I'm just using Memento Tuxedo Black dye ink and CC Designs cardstock. So now I've decided all 3 of these images I purposely chose the little skeleton, ghost, and mummy costume because all 3 of them are technically white, but I wanted to give them a little bit of depth and dimension, obviously, because otherwise it's just boring. And I wanted them to kind of look almost dirty, if you know what I mean. I didn't want them to look like they'd be pristine white. So I chose to go with the warm gray Copic markers and just super simple coloring. I just used W5 was my darkest, then W3, W1, and then I was using W00 to blend everything. And images like this that are, if you take a look at them, they're like almost sloppily drawn. You know, the lines aren't pristine, they kind of go outside the lines a bit, so even the coloring, you can kind of go outside the lines if you want. It doesn't have to be perfect. So I just go in and add the color where I want it. With the little skeleton, I kind of wanted the body to be a little darker to make it look like he's just wearing this little costume. And then just blending everything with my W00. And then for the little ghost character, I start with my W1, and I kind of want to make it look as if there's dips and folds in his little costume a bit. So I start with the W1, and then I'm adding a bit of W3 to darken that up. And then just blending that with the W00, and then fully blending it with just the colorless blender. Like this I wanted not quite as dark as the little skeleton costume because obviously he's a little ghost, so it's technically almost white. And then for his feet, I just color him a little bit darker just to give it dimension. So really, I'm only using 5 markers for all 3 of these images, and it's just very simple coloring. It doesn't take long at all. And just kind of blending as I go along, not really following any rules. And once I've got them all colored, I wanted to add some shadows to kind of ground all the images, but I didn't want to go with gray because all 3 images are a shade of gray, so I decided just to be a little different. I'd give them all purple shadows. So I just went in with my BV11 was the darkest, and then I go in with my BV000 to blend that out. And then to blend it out completely, I use the BV000 just to fade it out really well, and then I add just a little tiny bit of that BV000 around the images to kind of complete them. And then that was all for the coloring. So now it's on to the actual card itself. So the pattern paper I use for this card is from the Cosmo Cricut Matilda 6x6 pack. So I have a piece cut for my card front, and then I took 2 pieces of orange cardstock, and this is the Martha Stewart spider border punch. I'm not even sure if that's the exact name for it, but that's just what it is. So I punch out the spiderweb border, and I decided to go with orange. Normally I would do black because, you know, spiderweb I would do black or white is just habit. I thought for something different for once, you know, I'm just going to do it in orange. So I did that, and then I trimmed the little white cardstock down a bit. And then I'm just using my ATG adhesive gun to adhere the spiderweb borders to the top and the bottom of the white cardstock. And once I've got that in place, I go on to do the sentiment. And I'm using 2 words from the AmyR Ghostly Greeting stamp set. So I stamped this spook in with black ink onto a scrap of gray cardstock. And then there's a Too Cute 2 that I added. That one stamped with white pigment ink. And then that's just a Stampin' Up! Oval punch I used to punch it out. And I realized after I did it, I didn't like how it looked. You couldn't see the Too Cute 2, which you guys will see in a minute because I just compared them for you guys. So I redid it, and this time I used the Stampin' Up! Embossing Buddy because I want to emboss the little Too Cute 2 with detail white embossing powder so that it actually stands out. So I just use a little coffee filter, and that's Stampin' Up's detail white embossing powder. And then I just use a little bit of a fine paintbrush to remove any excess embossing powder. And then you can see here like what a difference it makes. So much happier with the embossed version. So once that's done, I want to add a couple little embellishments, and these little glittery spider webs I picked up at Michael's. They're by Recollections. I just saw them on an end cap. They were like $5 for a dozen or something like that. And I assumed when I got them that they were self-adhesive, but I discovered they're not when I try to peel the back off of them. So I add a little bit of AmyR's sheer polka dotted purple ribbon to the bottom of the card, and then I decide to put the sentiment in the middle, and again just use my ATG to adhere everything. And then for the little spider webs, since they're not self-adhesive like I thought, I just used a bit of Tombow Monomulti, and that worked great. I just dabbed it on the back of them, pressed them into place, and once it dries, which only takes a few minutes, they're good to go. So, and they're super lightweight too, they're not heavy at all. So just got those in place and then set that aside to let it dry so I can work on the inside of the card. And again, I'm just using a piece of pattern paper from the Cosmo Cricut pack. And for the white cardstock piece, I just used the Martha Stewart corner spiderweb punch that goes with the border one I used earlier, but I never use them together. I find it way too difficult to try and line the stupid things up. So I just wanted to use it to add a little bit of something extra to the inside of the card. And then the sentiments again are from the little Ghostly Greetings stamp set. I stamped the Halloween in a plum color ink, and then stamped the Happy with a black ink, and then adhered everything together with my trusty ATG gun. And once I got all that adhered, stuck it to the inside of the card, which is the same plum color as the ink I used on Halloween. Let's get some consistency going so that everything's looks right together. And then I just add here the card front to the actual card base, and that is all there is to it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and stay tuned as I'm hoping to post a new one every day for the next week or so. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Bye!